Today I'm going to show you how to make a tessellating tile by hand. On Google Classroom you'll also find video instructions for how to make a tessellating tile using computer software. So the first thing that we need to do to make a tessellating tile is to create a square. I know a lot of you probably don't have protractors at home, so we can still do this with a ruler and a factory cut piece of paper because we know that these corners are already at 90 degrees, so we just have to draw some parallel lines. I'm going to make a 5 centimeter square. I'm going to make sure my ruler is really accurately on the edge of my paper here and make a mark at 5 centimeters. And I'm going to make another one a little further away from that. And I'm going to connect these two marks, and this way I know I have a line that is 5 centimeters from the edge and is running parallel to that edge. Next step is to use this factory edge of the paper and again mark my 5 centimeters and connect them. So now I've got a parallel line to this side. And then I want to really carefully cut out this square. Okay, so that would be step one, is making sure that you have a square. Now we have the creative part. So two sides of the square we're going to change the shape of, and you can change them however you would like. I'm going to start by drawing a design on the bottom here. And I want to make sure that my design goes from one corner to the other corner. I'm going to cut that out. And be really careful about cutting right on those corners. That's really important. Alright, so that's my first shape. I'm going to create another shape on this side here. And again, I want to be really careful about these corners here. And I'm going to cut that shape out. Okay, so I'm just going to put these back. So this is the tricky part. So I'm going to do this slowly, and you might need to back up the video and watch this part again. I'm going to have to do a couple of transformations to turn this into a tessellating tile. So I'm going to orient this, and you should do this with yours at home too, so that my cutouts are at the top and at the left, so you can see that there. I'm going to start with the top cutout, and what I'm going to do is rotate it. Sorry, I'm going to lift it first. Let's do that. Lift it, slide it. Okay, so I moved up, I moved to the side, and now I'm going to rotate it so that this edge is in line with this edge. I'm going to move it down. Okay, so I'm going to show you that one more time. Up, to the right, rotate a quarter turn, counterclockwise, and slide down. And I want to make sure that this piece is perfectly lined up to the corners of the existing square. And I'm going to tape that in place like that. Okay, now I'm going to work on this cutout. So I'm going to move it out like this. I'm going to move it down this way and then rotate it and slide it in place. So I'll show you that one more time. Out, down, rotate, and slide. I'm going to repeat the process, and I'm going to tape that also in place. You might need an extra set of hands, a sibling, a parent, just to help keep this lined up while you're doing the taping. because as you start tracing these tessellating tiles, a small error will get magnified the more times you trace it. Alright. Now I traced this tile onto heavier paper just so this is a little bit easier to trace, but just use what you have at home. Even the back of a cereal box would work really well as something heavier so that you can then trace this pattern. So this is our tessellating tile, and it's really neat because it fits into itself like puzzle pieces do. So anywhere on your page, you can start by holding your tile down and carefully tracing around its edges. So if you find this kind of thing tricky, I would suggest you keep your design a little more simple. You could try putting some sticky tack or double-faced tape on the back of your tile to help hold it down, or maybe you have someone at home that can help you with this part. So there's one tracing of my tile. So now I'm going to see where it fits together. So you can see that it was here. So if I turn it this way, it fits into itself right here. And then once I have it fitting into itself, I'm going to repeat this process, and I'm going to trace it again. Okay, now I can look for other areas where it will fit into itself. So I recognize this little bump here fits right in here. I can repeat that process and trace it again. So what you're going to notice is that anywhere you have an open edge, you will be able, if you keep rotating the tile, to fit it into that open space. And you start to have this really complex looking pattern. Now you can just keep it at this stage if you want, and you can just color your tiles in different colors, solid colors, or you can try and find a creature in your design, which is my favorite thing to do. This is what Escher did. Now I've spent many hours trying to purposefully create a creature with the way that I cut this tile. I've got to tell you, I'm not having a lot of success there. I'm finding that's really hard. But I think imagining a creature out of what comes out of your tile would be a lot easier and possibly a bit more fun too. A little more spontaneous. So you can see that we can just keep tracing. All right, so that is my tessellation pattern. You can imagine if you colored the tiles so that the same color was never touching itself, you could really see this a lot better, but you could also start to become fairly creative and create some type of a creature, an animal or a human creature inside of your design too. I'll try and post some pictures of my finished tessellation on Google Classroom for you to take a look at, and I hope you guys have fun.